Good morning. Good morning. It is the 17th of March. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Jamie Trull here. I am your resident CPA, financial literacy coach, and profit strategist. And this is my normal live Wednesday time where I'm talking about something having to do with finance, accounting, taxes, usually specifically to business owners. Today, it's actually going to be a little bit more broad. So we're going to talk about the stimulus check. So right now, we're in the third round. Those checks have started to come out. I say checks, but in most cases, that's going to be direct deposit for most people, especially the people who have already gotten it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that subject. I'm going to let you guys join right now. Right now, I'm going live on my YouTube channel. If you're watching me there, please like and subscribe. If you are watching me over in my Facebook group, Financial Literacy for Women Business Owners, hey to you guys. If you're not over there, I don't know why you're not over there. Come check us out. We're having lots of great conversations about all of these things. And I'm also streaming this live on my Facebook business page. So wherever you are watching me from, say hi. Hi, guys. I see some of you guys joining. Awesome. Good morning. It is a stormy day here in Tennessee. It's going to, I think, get worse throughout the day. So we will see kind of how it goes. But I think we're not going to get the worst of it. I think Alabama, Mississippi, for any of you guys who are in there who are in that boat, right? Or are in the South at all, because I think this thing is even going to make its way all the way up to North Carolina. So I'm thinking about you guys. Hopefully, I need to clean out my tornado closet here to make sure that we can get in there if we need to, because it's a little bit ominous outside. Anyway, all right, so let's jump on in. I see you guys already asking questions, which is great. So I will be first to say I don't know all the answers, but I've done some research from what I can tell. And so there's some important points I wanted to bring up to you, but I am by no means a total expert in all things stimulus check. I usually stay on the business side of things, but I want to help people out who have been asking a lot of questions about this. So let's jump into it. Third stimulus check. What has changed? Let's talk about that. So this is not our first rodeo anymore, you guys, right? We've been through some of this with the stimulus checks in the past. So this is number 3 at this point, and there are some notable differences. So a couple of notable differences, right? It's $1,400. Awesome. It's $1,400 even for children. And it applies to even adult dependents. So college students, or if you claim maybe your parents or something like that, if you're providing over 50% to support for them, and then you claim them as a dependent, they will also count as a check for you in your total. So it has a potential to be a bigger amount than what you maybe have gotten previously. So that's kind of notable change number 1. Notable change number 2, the income limits are a little bit lower. So if you are under the income limits, the lower level of the income limits are all still the same. So what do I mean by that? That means if you're single and your adjusted gross income is under $75,000, if you are head of household and your adjusted gross income is under $112,500, or you are married filing jointly and your adjusted gross income is under $150,000, you will get the full amount. Okay. So, and that was the same as last time, but what has changed is the phase out limits. So previously it phased out for single between basically $75,000 and $99,000. Now it's phasing out in a much tighter band. So it's between $75,000 and $80,000. So if your AGI is between that band, and right now we're talking about 2019. That's generally what they're going to be going off of, is 2019 for right now. I'll tell you a little bit about how that changes here in a minute, but for right now it's 2019. If it's between 75 and 80, it starts phasing out. You'll get a lesser amount, and over 80, you won't get anything. For a head of household, $112,500 to $120,000. Above 120, you don't get anything. And for married filing jointly, between 150 and 160, it starts phasing out, and over 160, you don't get anything. So it is lower limits, and this time we're using 2019. That does not mean, however, that if you don't get it, or if you didn't count on your 2019 tax return, that you are down and out, okay? There are 2 other chances, actually, and this is why it makes it's important to pay attention to timing on this one, because this could be the difference between you getting this or not based on when you file your tax returns, okay? So another notable change, okay, is that the previous 2 stimulus checks were essentially advanced tax credits on 2020. It's what's called the recovery rebate credit. So you're basically getting it ahead of time. If you didn't get it and you should have gotten your first or second one and you never got them and you don't know why, and you file your 2020 return and your income limits are under, remember this is this is the bigger phase outs, but if they're under the limits for the first and second one, right? Then you'll be able to claim them as a tax credit on your tax return when you file it for 2020. Okay, so that's for the first and the second. So for those of you who didn't get it and your 2020, when you're looking at your tax return and doing it, 2020 was a crappy year. Maybe 2019 was higher and that's why you didn't qualify, or maybe you didn't qualify just because it never showed up and you don't know why, right? You'll be able to claim it when you file your taxes. And this is the first and second for 2020. The third stimulus check is not a 2020 credit. It is a 2021 credit that you get in advance. Okay, it's a new 2021 credit that they're going to give you early. Now, importantly, if you get this stimulus check and then when you file, so let's go back to the first and second for a second. If you got the stimulus check and yet your 2020 was actually higher, maybe it was above the income limits and you maybe shouldn't have gotten it, they don't take it back. So if you got it, good for you, right? So that's something just to keep in mind, is that if you get it now, even though like the third stimulus check is a 2021 credit, even if 2021 is above those income limits, they're not going to take it back from you on your tax return. So that's just important to know, that there are no what's called clawback provisions here. So let's talk about timing. And I made a little chart and I went over this on my Q&A on Friday and people liked it. So I wanted to go ahead and throw it up today because I do think it's important with how this is going to turn out. Let's see. Oh, and I do want to call this out because this is actually a little bit of a misunderstanding. So Jody, when you're saying that a fair number of people will be surprised that their tax returns are lower because they already received their stimulus payouts, that's not really true because this was a new credit. So had they never done the CARES Act or anything like that, you wouldn't have gotten that credit. So you either get it early, you don't give it back though on your tax return. So I think some people are thinking that like, oh, well, I'm now giving it back. No, it's just a matter of when you get it. So you're either going to get it early or you're going to get it on your tax return, but it is actually, it's your money in the fact that it's a tax return, a rebate. You're getting money on taxes that you paid in, although it is fully refundable and you can get it even if you don't owe any taxes, by the way. So it is free money. I will actually argue with you on that because it is free money. Let's not get into the theological debate of is anything ever free money. But from the standpoint of this was a new credit, it's not just that they were giving you your refund early, like your normal refund. This adds to your refund. This is more than you would have gotten had they not passed all of this stuff. So that's important because I do think some people have been getting that confused when we talk about the fact that this is a tax credit you get early. It's a new tax credit though. You wouldn't have gotten it otherwise. So it does effectively lower your tax burden in some way, right? Either you got it early and that lowers it, or you are getting it when you file your taxes. Okay. Let's see. And no, it doesn't disqualify you. So it's fully refundable, meaning even if you're getting a refund, you get that adds to your refund. Okay. So it's a tax credit, but it's not just going to reduce the amount you get. It's actually going to be something that even if you owe $0 in taxes, you can still get this above and beyond it. Okay. So let's see. Okay. So let's look at this third stimulus check. This is kind of my little, I have to do, you guys know I love a good flow chart. This just helps me. So over here on the side, and I'll post this in the Facebook group. Again, come on over. If you're watching me on YouTube, come on over to the group, jamietrull.com/group, and you can join us in financial literacy for women business owners. It's got the income thresholds for the third check up here. And then 3 different scenarios. So in this scenario, we're always talking about having filed 2019. If you haven't filed 2019 yet, you probably won't get the third stimulus check is my belief. I don't think they're going to go back to 2018. They might. But I don't know that you'll get it. But again, that doesn't mean you're down and out. So make sure you pay attention. But right now we're going to talk about if you filed 2019 but haven't filed 2020 yet. And honestly, even if you already filed 2020, I still think they're going to be using 2019 to base the determination off, because these checks have already started going out. And I don't think it's really reasonable that the IRS is looking at any returns that they got in the last month. I think they're going back to 2019 in all cases. So the first thing, right, the first threshold that hopefully, this is going to make it the easiest is if your 2019 adjusted gross income is below these thresholds, right, fully below the 75, 112,500 or 150,000 thresholds, then you're going to get the full amount. It should be sent to you soon if it hasn't already. Again, though, there are some things that are, weird things that are happening where people maybe aren't getting them, or maybe you're going to get a check. So I don't know the full timing of how this is going to roll out. Nobody really does. And some people who deserve them aren't going to get them. But again, that doesn't mean you're down and out. So, however, that's kind of the first one. You're good to go. You already got it. Then you don't have to worry about anything else once you get it. Now, if you don't get it, or if you get a portion of it. So the second one is if you get a portion of it because your 2019 adjusted gross income was in the middle of that range, right? So you're single and it's between 75,000 and 80,000, or you're married and it's between 150 and 160. So you get a portion, right? Not the full amount. And we'll go through it at the same time, or if you got nothing because your 2019 was over the limits, right? Over the 80,000, 160,000, et cetera. In either of those cases, you have two more chances. So just because 2019 didn't qualify you, you still could get it. Now, remember, this is a 2021 tax credit. So ultimately, if you don't get it now or this year, you can claim it on your 2021 tax return. But if your income has recovered and it's back above the limits, you won't get anything. Okay. So there is a middle ground, because a lot of people are saying, well, wait a second, 2020 was the crappy year. Like, I need to be able to claim this in 2020. Here is how you get this based on 2020. What they have done is added essentially a kind of midpoint where they're going to re-look at your 2020 tax return if it's filed by a certain point in 2020. And if you qualify fully for a full credit or a partial credit and you didn't get the full amount that you qualify already on your 2019, they will give it to you, okay, in 2020. So you don't have to wait till 2021. You don't have to worry about 2021 being over threshold, right? You can get it based on 2020, but you have to file by the additional payment determination date, okay? What the heck am I talking about? What is the additional payment determination date? So this is here. If your 2020 income is under the threshold, the top threshold, then you're going to come back and firstly, if the answer is no, well, now you got to go to 2020. If 2020 or 2021, if 2020 was above the limits, then the next point is 2021. And if that's above the limits, you don't get anything. So if 2019, 2020, and 2021 were all above the income limits, good on you, but you don't get a stimulus check. But if you didn't get your stimulus check in 2019 and you come down here, but 2020 was under threshold, then you're going to file by this additional payment determination date. What that is, how they've defined it, and it's confusing, so bear with me. It's also right here. The additional payment determination date is the earlier of 3 months after the filing deadline, the personal tax return filing deadline, or September 1st, 2021. Why the heck did they write it that way? Personal tax filing deadline is April 15th, right? Well, who can guess? Who knows why they wrote it that way? I'm sure some of you guys know. I would be surprised if they did not extend the filing deadline this year again. I don't know that it'll go all the way to July 15th. Right now, the AICPA just wrote a letter suggesting June 15th as the extended filing deadline. I personally think it's more necessary this year than it was last year. Because this year we're making all these changes. We just had that change in unemployment. There are several different changes that impact your tax return, and CPAs are just trying to keep up with all of it. And we're already less than a month to April 15th. So I am guessing they're going to extend that. And if they do extend that, let's say to June 15th, then you'd count 3 months from June 15th. So then that would be June, July, August, September 15th. But it says or the earlier of 3 months after the filing deadline or September 1st. So if they move the filing deadline to June 15th, that means we're talking about September 1st, right? As this additional payment determination date, the date to get your 2020 tax return filed by to make sure that you can count 2020 in the determination of whether you get your check or not. Assuming 2020 is your lowest year, you might want to do that. So right now that's July 15th. So even if you file an extension, which I am telling people, if they don't extend the filing deadline, it's not a bad year to do an extension, you guys, just to make sure that all of this gets buttoned up, because right now everything's on the fly and moving. And for me, I would feel so much better if things would stay stabilized for a hot second before I file a tax return, because it's like, you're going to file it and the next day there's going to be something that would have changed it. And then you got to go back and amend potentially. And it's just a headache. So this is a good year to file an extension. But even if you file an extension, which gives you till October 15th, make sure to get your tax return in by that additional payment determination date. So that's going to be the earlier of July 15th. The earlier of 3 months after the filing deadline or September 1st. Currently, July 15th, could change if they announce an extension. Let's see. You can wait and see if they do an extension first. Because the thing about filing an extension is if you're going to owe, you still need to pay on that, right? So an extension only gives you extra time to file. It doesn't give you extra time to pay. So you need to pay, otherwise you could end up with interest and penalties and things like that. So that's something really important if you're filing an extension. It just means it gives you more time to do the paperwork, but you need to essentially estimate as best you can how much you're going to owe. Now, if you're in a refund situation, that's not the case, right? But if you are going to owe, so I would give it a couple of weeks, and then filing an extension takes like 5 seconds. It's very, very easy to do. You can have your CPA do it, or you can do it yourself on the IRS website. But you might as well wait and see if they're going to extend it first. If they extend it, then you're good. If not, then you might want to go ahead and file your extension. That's up to you timing wise. It doesn't hurt you to file an extension though. Even if you file an extension and then you end up deciding to file it anyway before the time frame, it's fine. It's not like you have to do that. Okay. So ultimately, this is what I mean. I hope this makes sense by the fact that you basically, for this third check anyway, have 3 different checkpoints for whether you can qualify for this check. This is new, this whole additional payment determination date. If they decide, I don't know what the timing will be after that, but I'm guessing within a couple weeks to a month of that additional payment determination date, they'll probably start cutting another round of checks or direct deposits out for people that didn't get the full amount that they would have gotten. So this is a way for you not to have to wait all the way till your 2021 tax return, and to make sure that you can count 2020. So that's just something I really wanted to make sure everybody was aware of. Let's see, what else? A couple of random changes. They also made it such that, and I think this also applies to maybe the second stimulus check too, but they increased the limits. Actually, I think it applies to the first and second. They increased the limits for widows and widowers. So the income limits used to be $75,000, and now if you're a qualified widow or widower, you get up to the $150,000. So you get kind of the married filing jointly threshold. So if you previously got one and could have gotten more, right, or didn't get it, you can claim that recovery rebate credit on your 2020 taxes. So just make sure that, anything you didn't get before, you claim on your taxes. Yay, Kyle got his today. Woohoo! Party time. Bill paying time probably, right? Okay. Let's see. Yes, if they extend the date, you have extra time to pay if you owe. So that's a great thing about them extending the date, is that now then the time you have to pay will go to the filing date, right? Not if you file an extension, but if an extension is done by the IRS, then yes, you have more time to pay. Let's see. Okay, I'm looking through your yes. So the Get My Payment, I also linked to it above. You can check the status. Sometimes it's not going to give you the status. It's giving people all kinds of, crazy statuses. So I can't necessarily decode what's going on. Right now, we're kind of in the wait and see if you get it. But remember, like I said, you have multiple, oh my gosh. Sorry, I just got distracted by lightning and thunder. I'm like a child right now, but that just threw me off a little bit. I wasn't expecting it. It's still thundering. Oh my gosh. Okay. So anyway, yes, you can choose get my payment and see if that works. And my dog just came in here because he is, you know what? Y'all are gonna get a treat today. That's the kind of day it is. Come here, Deek. He needs a haircut. This is Deacon. Say hi. I don't think he's made his debut yet on one of my lives, at least not in a while. So say hi, Deek. He's going to start barking if I don't hold him. So y'all are going to get me holding my dog in this live today. He does not like thunderstorms at all. Can you tell? Okay. Let's see. That's probably what they're doing. I know people that got them as early as last Friday. They were on it this time, you guys, I will say. Yes, exactly. He's going to be here all day, pretty much. He's going to be hanging out with me. Okay, I'm scrolling back through your questions. As far as I've gotten some questions around garnishment. Can they garnish my wages? In general, it's a little fuzzy. In general, for federal things owed like back taxes, etc., they should not be garnishing your stimulus checks. However, private debt collectors can actually come after your stimulus checks. So that's something to know. So now there is some kind of discussion right now around, okay, if I didn't get my stimulus check and I'm claiming it as a credit, this recovery rebate credit on my 2020 or 2020 tax return, can they garnish it then for back taxes? And right now it's kind of like yes, it's technically possible, but I'm expecting something to come out to say, well, that's not really fair that people who got the actual money ahead of time didn't get it garnished. But if you had to claim it as a tax credit on your tax return because you didn't get it, that you could be garnished. So I am not expecting that they will garnish these specifically for back taxes. Yeah, it's so random. Like I don't even know what's going on over there, but I guess you got it. So however, you make sure y'all are checking your mail. I'll say that. Just make sure to check your mail, check your bank account every so often. Let's see. Looking back through, what else? Ask me any other questions you guys have. Like I said, I've been doing some research. The FAQs that I linked above are really helpful from the IRS. So go through that because they're not updated yet for the third stimulus payment, but most of that is still applicable other than the things that I brought up to you that are changes. Let's see. Yes, exactly. So I think I don't think that they are garnishing those. Any word on why so many married filing jointly with dependents only got half? First two stimulus came split on the same day, but a ton only got half their money today with no direct deposit for the rest. So the good thing is, again, regardless of what you got and when, I don't believe so, not at this point in time. So regardless of what you got and when, regardless of, if it was the right amount, if it was a weird amount, if they missed a kid because maybe you had a baby or maybe you claimed a new dependent or something like that, right? It will get trued up on your tax return. So the first and second will get trued up on this 2020 tax return. That's another important thing, you guys, though. On your tax return, when it asks you how much stimulus money for your 2020 tax return, how much stimulus money you got, do not enter the third amount. It should guide you, depending on if you're using a CPA or you're using a software. Make sure you're only it should be asking you only for the first and second payments. Now, if it hasn't been updated yet for these new changes, it might just say, how much stimulus payments did you get? And you might think you want to put this amount too if you've already gotten it. Don't do it because it'll mess up things. The $1,400 is a 2021 tax credit. You don't claim it on your 2020 tax return. You don't tell them you got it. Doesn't matter for this tax return you're going to file for 2020. Okay. So, and it will all get trued up. So that's where if you're missing one for a kid or you got a weird amount or whatever, it all gets trued up when you file your tax return. So, so that's one of the things just to keep in mind when you're filling out your 2020 tax return. Okay. All right. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep up with comments. And also, if you don't file taxes, there is a way, if you normally don't file taxes, you still will need to file a return to claim this stuff. So that's something that's important too. You can find all that information in the IRS FAQs that I sent you. I'm just going to show you my adorable dog right now, who is happy as a clam sitting here. He's not going to move. He's literally going to sit here all day. I'm going to figure out how to type with him in my arms. Let's see. It's possible. Anything's possible. It's crazy. It's crazy, you guys. I feel like the systems and the processes are out of control, and I don't know what they're using to determine how they are doing any of this. Let's see. Possibly. I don't know, Cindy. I'm not sure. I'm shocked they haven't even processed your 2019 return. Wow. Yeah, I mean, it could be. It could be. But again, remember, you could always, if you're paying attention to these dates, you have 2 more chances if you don't get it right now. Most importantly, this is a Shih Tzu. This is Deacon, is his name. He is, how old are you, Deacon? If you see his tongue out, you can't see him right now, but he normally hangs out with his tongue out. He is 11. He just turned 11 a couple weeks ago. He's an old man. He's my buddy. Let's see. Yes, they will be. So Janice, when they review the 2020 return for income, they will be looking at new dependents. They're also, I know some people, it was kind of weird with their kids. So if you had, maybe you're divorced and your spouse is claimed your kids 1 year and then you claim them the next year and it gets kind of weird. But whoever claims them, again, depending on if you claim them in 2020, you will get that. You'll be eligible for that, that added stimulus, even if your, ex-spouse got it already. So that's kind of the funky thing around some of these. Okay. Let's see. Okay, this is a good question too. If my father got a $4,200 stimulus check because he had me and my brother as dependent for 2019, but we filed ourselves in 2020 alone and both got our stimulus check, does he have to pay it back? No. So there's not really a process for paying it back. The only thing I have seen about paying back your stimulus checks, there is a direction if somebody died before January 1st, 2020, and you got a stimulus check for them, then you are supposed to pay it back. But other than that, if you got a stimulus check, it is yours from my understanding. Again, check out the IRS FAQs because I know everybody has various different situations that are applicable to them. And they talk about a lot of those on there. Okay, guys, I'm going to get rolling. I'm probably just going to be hanging out here and not moving and, for a while. But anyway, stay safe if you're in the path of these storms. They don't look fun. I will say that right now. And they especially don't look fun for people a little bit south of me and even up into, the Carolinas when they come through tomorrow. So everybody stay safe, stay dry, and we will talk. I'll be back on Friday for a stimulus Q&A.